Hey there. Well, in case you haven't heard, I went to campus. It's Monday, September 7th. I was going to record some lectures today, get caught up on work. I got there. I swiped my card at the gate, and they said, "Sir, it's Labor Day. Get out of here." And I said, "I just need to go to my office and work." And they said, "Sir, it's Labor Day. You don't work on Labor Day." And I said, "What are you talking about? There's like hundreds of thousands of people working today for minimum wage." So they said, "Get out of here." So here I am at home. I promised you a handout on the ontological argument to prepare for this week's discussion section. Oh, that handout will still come to you tomorrow. I promise. I promise that one way or another, tomorrow morning, if I have to break into my office, if I have to punch the guards in the gut, I will get you that handout. But for today, we're coming to you live from my room. It's actually not live. You're watching a recording of this. We're coming to you pre-recorded from my room, talking about the ontological argument. Okay. First of all, why is this argument the most interesting argument in history, they say? This is to philosophy. This is to thought what Einstein's general relativity was to classical mechanics. It is what quantum mechanics is to physics. The ontological argument is just interesting. Why is it called the ontological argument? Aquinas never would have known that name. That name is the responsibility of, let me show you here. This guy, Immanuel Kant, he lived, he died in 1804. So he died over 500 years after Aquinas lived. And he was a German philosopher. And here's the thing about German philosophers. They like big words. They like making up big words. Okay, good for you, Kant. But Kant didn't come up with the ontological argument. You know who came up with the ontological argument? This guy, Anselm. He lived a few hundred years before Aquinas. Okay, without further ado, what is the ontological argument? Here it is. Here it comes. Here it goes. I'm going to give you one version of it. I'm going to give you the version that guy Anselm wrote. If you go to graduate school in philosophy, you can take a whole semester studying versions of ontological arguments. God is that than which nothing greater can be thought of. That seems right, doesn't it? If you can think, what are you thinking? Think of anything. Think of anything. Now, ask yourself, is it God? And you're wondering if it's God. Here's an easy way to tell if it's God. Can you think of something better? I'm thinking of Mr. Whiskers, my kitty cat. She thinks she's God. Mr. Whiskers, my kitty cat. You know what's even better than Mr. Whiskers? This guy. I've got these opposable thumbs. I can do calculus. Mr. Whiskers can't do calculus. Mr. Whiskers jumps on my laptop when I'm trying to work. That's all she does because she is a bad kitty cat. But God, you can't think of anything better than God. That's just how we use the word, right? Okay, check this out. Here comes premise number 2. Premise number 2 is, it's better to exist than to not exist. It's better to exist in reality than to just exist up here. You know what exists up here and only up here? My wife, Scarlett Johansson. She doesn't exist anywhere but up here. You know what's better than what exists only up here? Anything out there. If I owe you $1,000,000 imaginary bucks, would you rather I owed you $1,000,000 imaginary bucks or 2 real bucks? How about 1,000,000,000 imaginary? How about 1,000,000,000,000 imaginary bucks? You say, no, I'll take 1 real dollar over 1,000,000,000,000 imaginary dollars any day of the week. I think you might be onto something if you say that. Okay. So, if you want to make something better, it's got to exist. Existence is what philosophers call a great-making property. This is how the ontological argument goes. So if God is better than anything else that can be thought of, God is that than which nothing better can be thought. Well, if God doesn't exist outside the mind, I can think of lots of things better than God. Like Mr. Whiskers, the kitty cat. If God doesn't exist outside the mind, then Donald Trump is better than God. Yes, I know, Donald, that's like his campaign slogan. Vote Trump, better than God. But if God doesn't exist outside the mind, that slogan would be correct. So, for God to be that than which nothing better can be thought of, God must exist outside the mind. This is the famous ontological argument, the argument that keeps philosophers up at night, generation after generation, for hundreds, yay, thousands of years. And that is what we'll be talking about this week. You'll see details about it in a handout coming to you as soon as I can get back into my office. All right. Hope you're enjoying your day off. Talk to you all soon.